All right, guys, we're back out here in the shop. Get a little more work done on the car. So let's just get right into it and then start getting a few things knocked off the list. All right, let's go. That's first things first. Let's go ahead and put the cover on that shifter. It's a B&M shifter. It comes with a nice black aluminum cover. And we'll go ahead and slap that on and put the pins in it. So that'll be off the list and finished. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, there we go. Got it slapped on, 2 pins put in, all finished. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. All right, so the next thing I want to do, guys, is get this Motion Raceworks CO2 boost control kit installed and get the lines ran out into the engine compartment, get the boost control solenoids bolted together and put on the bracket kit that Motion sells. Makes it look real nice. And get them mounted up and get the tubing ran to them. This is everything you will get in the dual Wastegate CO2 kit that Motion sells. Minus the 2 solenoids, them would be extra. The bracket kit right here would be extra. So you'll get the bottle, a section of line, all these fittings that are in this bag right here. That fitting over there is not. That's a through the firewall fitting to make it clean. You don't need that, but so yeah, that's basically it. The bottle, you can get the bracket. The bracket doesn't come with it. That'd be extra. So the bottle and them fittings right there. You think this is a sign? They stuck an LS part in my shipment and shipped it to me. I didn't buy it. They just threw it in there. I think they're trying to tell me something. What do you think? I think it's some kind of oil filter adapter for the LS. So I got no use for it, but they said they didn't want it back. It was only like 24 bucks or some shit, I guess. Oh, speaking of that, where's one more thing? Let me go grab it. Then you also get the regulator assembly. When they shipped me the kit originally, they didn't include the regulator, but they threw in that LS part. So I had to email them, and they were cool about it, and they mailed me out a regulator. And then another cool thing was I bought this just before Memorial Day, like 2 days. And then come Memorial Day, they started a sale, 10% off all Motion Raceworks manufactured parts, which this kit is considered a Motion's manufactured part. And that'd be about 50 bucks off of the shit that I ordered with all the accessories and stuff. And so I emailed them and asked them if they'd give me the sale price, and they did. They were pretty cool about it. So they threw me a $50 gift card to use in store on my next purchase. So that was pretty cool. The first step's going to be to get this bottle mounted to the roll cage. You don't need to mount it to the roll cage, but it makes it look a little cleaner in my opinion. So you can order the black bracket there with the kit if you want, and it'll fit on. They got them for all different size roll cages: 1 3/4, 5/8. So they got everything you need as far as that goes. So let's go ahead and get that bottle put in and figure out a spot to mount it, and we'll go from there. This is where I settled on mounting it. I thought about doing it on this bar down here, but it wouldn't give very much room for the passenger. And I gotta make sure there's room for the old man to get in there if he wants to go for a ride. So I ended up, I just settled back here. The gauge is gonna have to face the driver's side. I mean, I could turn it and make it face. Maybe that's a good idea. I might turn the bottle to face this way, so the gauge faces this way, and see what it looks like. Okay, guys, I got both solenoids teed into each other and attached to the Motion Raceworks bracket. So if you're running dual wastegate or even single, the only difference between the two would be you wouldn't have a T here. You just run this line straight to the one wastegate. So what you want is this is going to be your fill solenoid. So you got port 1 is going to be your supply from the bottle, the CO2 bottle. Port 2 is going to go into this T to go into this solenoid's port 1, which this is the dump solenoid. So from 2, see if I can get it without So the right one's the fill solenoid. Supply comes into 1, it goes out 2, and tees into the number 1 port on the dump solenoid, which is the left solenoid. Port 2 on the left solenoid will be just open atmosphere. That's where it's going to dump excess CO2 pressure. And port 3 on the right solenoid, the fill solenoid, is going to be a what am I trying to say here? A blocked off too. So you just put a plug in it. So that comes out. This T will, each side of the T, you know, you want one side to one wastegate and run the other side of the T to the other wastegate. It's pretty straightforward and simple. And then when you're wiring in the solenoids, they're solenoids, so just like a fuel injector, it doesn't matter which side you hook positive to and which side you hook your control to, your ground basically. The PCM is going to control the ground. So it's always, these solenoids will always have 12 volts. You hook them to direct to 12 volts. And then when the solenoid, or when the PCM wants to control one of the solenoids, it'll send a ground to that particular solenoid. So one wire from each side will have 12 volts, and then you run the other wire to your one of your outputs on your PCM. So you'll have one output on the fill valve and then one output for the dump valve. I decided to mount, or I think I'm going to mount it right here. The bracket will sit right. Got these damn spaghetti wire. Let's move my hand here so you can see. It's gonna sit right on this lip here, and then I'll run my CO2 down to that wastegate, and then out of this one over to the other side to the other wastegate. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this drilled so I can get this mounted up there, and then we'll come back. Okay, guys, I got the solenoid mounted and the supply line ran. A little close up for you. That black line coming in is a supply from the bottle, from the regulator. And I got it mounted on that lip there with the bracket. And now I just got to wire 12 volts to one side of the solenoids, and then hook up the other wire from each solenoid to a separate output from the Mega Squirt. I got it. Got the carpet pulled back, and I got it coming through under here, and then it runs underneath this padding for the roll cage. It runs up in the slit in it, so it hides it pretty good. You can't see it, and then it comes up. You can kind of see it now. I don't know if I can show you. And it comes in right there to the regulator. So that's nice and simple, easy. I tried to rotate this the other way, guys, and it just wouldn't, the door wouldn't close with it. It was just too far or too close to the door. So unfortunately I had to turn it this other way, which is fine. I can get it from the driver's seat then and make sure this bottle's turned on and there's pressure. But I got it mounted. She's nice and snug. She's not going anywhere. And we're good to go there. So that is taken care of. It's one more thing off the list. So guess I'll move on to the next thing. I may hold off on wiring this till I got everything in place, so I don't. A lot of times what I've ran into is I'll wire something and then I'll move on to another thing. I'll install a couple more things, and then I'll realize that I need to move the harness, extend the harness, whatever, and then I end up having to snip what I did previous so that I could reroute the harness to make it better, and then I have to do it all over again. So I'm gonna wait till I have everything installed, and then I'll go through and make the connections to each individual thing. That way I know I don't have to move it again, and it's one less thing to do for me. So all right, guys, so let me figure out what we're gonna do next, and we'll come back. I got the trans cooler mounted and the fittings put into it, so I can go ahead and try to sit this radiator in there, make sure it fits. I think it'll be fine, but I just want to be sure. It's a True Cool Max. Come on, focus. There we go. That is the part number from where I got it. The manufacturer part number is the second one from the top there. Second one down, the LPD 47391. The only difference between that one and the one right above it is the one I got doesn't come with a cold weather bypass. So it's going to always force the fluid to go through the cooler, which is what I want. So it has a weight rating, gross vehicle weight rating of 40,000 pounds, which is one of the biggest ones you can get. And a BTU rating of 45,000 pounds. So comes with the fittings and some hose and that type of stuff. So comes with a lot of stuff, and it was, I don't know, a little over $100, but if you're gonna be driving on the street, definitely want a cooler. If your radiator has a cooler in it, it doesn't hurt to run them in series. Run it through one cooler, out of that cooler into the other cooler, then out of that cooler back to the trans. You're just doubling up on your cooling capacity. If it's a track car, and it's strictly a track car and it's never gonna be driven on the street, okay, maybe you probably don't need it. It still wouldn't be a bad idea, but technically you could probably get away with doing eighth mile hits without a cooler period. Actually, a lot of people just loop the cooler lines at the transmission if they're doing just eighth mile shit, where they have an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours to turn the car around after they make a hit. So if you're bracket racing, or you're doing any kind of index racing where you might have to run fucking 8 times in a day or something, you're gonna want a cooler or some way to cool the transmission, because it's just heat is the number one killer of transmissions. That's just a fact. You keep them cool and full of fluid, it takes how do I want to say it? It takes a lot to kill a transmission if there's fluid in there and the fluid is cool. So just keep that in mind. You got to keep the fluid cold, not cold but cool. So there's that. Might go grab that radiator and sit it in there, see how it's gonna fit with that cooler, and then go from there. So let me go ahead and grab that, and then we'll go. Alright, fellas, we got the radiator brackets, mounts, whatever you want to call them, the top mounts painted. They were red, obviously. We got them the what the hell they call this shit? Forgot now. Hammered. Rust-Oleum matte hammered. It's like a mix between a gray and a black, or it's gray with black kind of speckles in it, make it look like a hammer tone looking deal. Looks pretty nice, but I did a front cover and shit on. So, anyways, them are drying. I got 2 coats on them. Once they're hardened up enough, I can sit them on here and make sure they fit this radiator. This radiator is a Chinese... Let me take that back. I assume this radiator is a Chinese produced product. It was cheap. A lot cheaper than a... like the Be Cool products, or whatever that brand is that starts with an M. This radiator was cheap. I only paid like $120 shipped to my door, where the name brand radiators were $350 shipped. So I took a chance and bought the cheapie. Hopefully it doesn't give me any issues. I can't imagine it being any worse than what the stock radiator is, you know what I mean? Because this is significantly thicker and it's a dual pass deal. So if we have any overheating issues, it's going to be from this guy right here, but I doubt we will. Like I said, you know, it's probably not going to be as good as a name brand Radiator, but it's more than likely going to be significantly better than the stock one is, you know, just on a sheer fact it's a larger core. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on that. I think it'll be okay as long as it doesn't leak when I put coolant in it, you know, and then it should be fine, but we'll see. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna wait for them to dry, and then I'll throw them on there, and we'll get a peek at it all installed. But I'm probably gonna stop here for tonight. It's pretty late, so I need to wrap it up. But we got a few things knocked off the list. I was only out here for a couple hours, but you know, a couple hours is better than not getting anything. Yeah, we got the CO2 boost kit mostly installed. I got the fill and dump solenoids mounted to the bracket, got that mounted to the car. I got the bottle mounted to the roll cage, and I got the supply line from the bottle to the fill and dump valves ran and hooked up. The only thing left to do on that is just run 12 volts to each solenoid, and then run my outputs from the Mega Squirt, you know, to each valve. No big deal. The wires are already there. I just got to splice them in from the old solenoids, so that'll be no big deal. Let's see. I put the cover on the shifter. That's a simple deal, but it was one of them things that just had to be done, so I threw that on there. And then I got the transmission cooler mounted, and I also put in the radiator and got that mounted. I still got to make the lines for the transmission cooler, but you know, I'll do that when I get to the point of doing the shit underneath the car. I'm gonna save that for last and knock it out towards the end. Drive shaft. I ordered it. I went with Shaft Masters in Lincoln Park, Michigan. They make a great shaft, and for a great price. You know, I ended up going with a 4-inch aluminum drive shaft, 1350 joints. I gave them my measurements, and they're making it now. When it's finished, or when it's made and ready to be balanced, they're gonna call me, and I'm gonna take my Sonex billet yoke and run it up to Lincoln Park, drop it off, and they're gonna balance it right then. And they said, you know, to give them an hour, maybe 2 hours after I drop it off for it to be finished completely and balanced, ready to go. So what I plan on doing is dropping that off in Lincoln Park, and then jumping, you know, 10 minutes away over to Taylor, Michigan, where Team Z Motorsports is located. So I'll drive over there. I'm going to pick up some subframe connectors from them, and once I get them, you know, I can run back to Lincoln Park, and by that time, the drive shaft should be close to being done. If I got to wait a few minutes, no big deal. So I'll pick them up, and I should be headed home with a finished drive shaft and some full-length subframe connectors for the car. Stifler's makes a pre-built drive shaft loop that will work with the Stifler's transmission mount that I showed you all in the last video. It's a bolt-up deal, you know, no modifications, no nothing. It'll work perfectly with that. So that's coming from Summit. I think it'll be here tomorrow, so we'll get that thrown in there. Update on the Scott Rod rear seat delete. I went on their website about a month ago and tried to order one, and it wouldn't let me pay for it. It said you can only purchase it via purchase order. And I'm like, okay, whatever that is. You click on it and you go through it and submit the order, and it says we'll make the product, and when it's ready to ship, we'll contact you for payment. So I hit submit and then submitted it. You know, that was almost a month ago. I haven't heard anything, so I didn't know what the hell was going on. I called them, you know, a while back, like I told you, and they told me that they were on back order and it was going to be weeks before they had any in. So I just kind of left it at that. Figured they would call me when it was ready or whatever. But I contacted them again yesterday and asked about it, and they're still, I think she told me 3 weeks out now. Then I asked her about my order. I said, you know, I submitted an order a month ago, whatever it is, about a month ago. And I said, whatever happened to that? She said, oh yeah, I got your order. You're on the list to get one. It should ship out this week. So according to her, I'll have one this week. If they hold true to that, who knows? But hopefully we'll get it and we can throw it in and be legal at the track. Because like I said, if you got a fuel cell in the trunk, you got to have a firewall between the driver's compartment and the fuel cell, wherever it's at, to be legal, quote unquote. And if shit ever hit the fan and you want a firewall in between you, if for whatever reason that tank caught fire, I want to keep that raging fire, away from me as long as possible. So, if you went in there with the ABS plastic that most of the rear seat deletes are made from, that shit's gonna melt instantly, and it's not gonna do anything for you. At least with aluminum, it'll look good. It'll look better than the other ones, and it'll give you some sort of fire protection. So, this is one of them deals, guys. So hopefully, they'll call me this week sometime. Tell me it's ready to go, and we'll get that coming. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up for tonight, guys, and head in. But I'll be out here tomorrow to continue on. Like I said, I got a lot of shit I got to do. It's a lot of it's not really anything big, but it's a lot of little shit, and the little shit adds up over time, So it's quite a bit of work I still got to do. So I gotta start busting butt and get this thing ready to go if I want to get it out sometime this month. So appreciate you guys tuning in, watching the videos, commenting, and all that good stuff. Subscribing. I appreciate all that. Yeah, if you guys had any comments or anything, suggestions, hey, throw it down there in the comments, guys. I always appreciate when people, offer comments and try to help out. And but yeah, we'll see you on the next one, guys, and make sure you stay safe out there. We'll see you.